we are on short on time. It's Radio Eksen in Istanbul. It's an alternative radio station that playing Alice Cooper, Aerosmith, and of course Hollywood Vampires for all day time. So we are supporting your concert on Saturday night. So I'm going to ask real quick questions and not to waste your time. It's a pleasure, by the way. So I want to ask some questions about the Hollywood Vampires back in the 70s. Can you just tell us the story, not very complicated, but the story, how it come here to the band Hollywood Vampires, to the drinking buddies Hollywood Vampires?
It started out with a film I was doing with Johnny. Johnny was playing a vampire. I mean, at the time. Yeah. And that wasn't really part of it until later. We talked about this drinking club, the Hollywood Vampires, from the 70s. And then we decided, let's put a little bar band together so that we can, we'll play songs from all of our dead drunk friends. And Joe Perry was there, and he says, I'm in. And pretty soon, like by the end of that day, we had pretty much a super band. And it went from 100 people to 250,000 people for our second show. So, I mean, we were planning it to do that, but it just emerged into that.
So can I ask the set list, because I couldn't find the yesterday's set list anywhere. So just can you give us some hints about what are we going to hear?
Yeah, well, the set list isn't going to change. It's a combination of songs from our heroes to songs that we wrote. And that's what makes it fun for us. You got the best players in the world here. So for me, it's easy. I just have to sing. These guys have to learn all the chords.
Yep. So you are going to donate all the income of the Istanbul concert to the Disasters Emergency Committee, I guess. Yeah. Thanks a lot for that. We should mention it, I guess, on this interview. And how is your leg, Johnny Depp?
Oh, my leg. Well, I've started wearing this boot, and it's not that I've watched too many Star Wars films or anything like that. But it's all right. It's getting better.
Okay.
It's getting better. Spray painted tonight.
So I'm going to ask some very quick questions, like who is your favorite front woman of all time?
Patti Smith for me.
Laura Nero.
Janis Joplin.
Abraham.
Yeah. So what is your favorite era of rock history? Laurel Canyon music scene can be, New York punk scene can be. What is your favorite era?
I've got to say the 60s. I think the 60s, with the British invasion.
Yeah, that's true.
That was pretty much our college. We learned everything from those guys.
I'd say probably we're in it, because when history looks back at this period, from the time Elvis, arguably, the most visible and successful, like there were certainly rockers before him, but from that era, like up through the Beatles, and then electric guitar started to be actually the star of the show, and turned up, and Jimi Hendrix, and then through the MTV era, and now we're at a place where it's become mainstream. So I think that the last 40 years have been an era that will go down in history, and I don't think there will be another time that it will happen like this. So you're living it.
Yeah. It's going to be radical.
Yeah. So you mentioned the Beatles, of course. So which one, John Lennon or Keith Richards?
John Lennon or Keith, that's apples and pears and oranges, and I mean, they're two entirely different things. John Lennon was a songwriter, beyond songwriter. Him and McCartney together were the two greatest of all time. Keith Richards is immortal. There's only going to be three things left after the world is gone. It's going to be Keith Richards, cockroaches, and Twinkies. The three things that will not go away.
Only when there supposed to be a black blues guy, an old black blues guy, and he's got it now, except he's white.
He's all of our favorite uncles.
The one and only Desert Island disc. You are going to just pick one album and you are going to have it for the rest of your life. Which one will it be?
What's that John Cage record that's all silent? Oh, yeah, here's the grooves.
I don't know. Seriously, I mean, it's too many great records.
I would say East West by Paul Butterfield.
Okay.
Probably Access Phone as well.
Good choice.
Man, I don't know what I would. Well, you know what? Hunky Dory, Bowie.
Okay. So I'm going to ask, what will you do if you are not into music or film business or even related to music? What will you do in your daily job?
Oh, I would be a hustler. Yeah, I would be. I'd be doing something very crooked, very good. Yeah.
Definitely be.
If I wasn't a rocker, I'd be a criminal. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
See you in the cell.
I'd be, well, I'd be dead or in prison probably.
We'd all have.
Or dead in
we'd have a
prison.
Or
band.
dead and in prison.
Who will save rock and roll? Do you think it needed to be saved? And if so, what does rock and roll looking for now in these days?
I think there's still great rock and roll coming out of places like there's a band in Dublin called the
Fontaines DC?
Fontaines, yeah, Fontaines DC. That's a very interesting hard rock and roll, really ballsy rock and roll with the most positive lyrics I've ever heard anyone sing.
Yeah.
So that's take on rock and roll. There's also a band called the Drums out of Australia.
Another great band from Ireland, the Stripes. The Stripes, unbelievable. That first album, Snapshot, sounded like the Small Faces jamming with the Yardbirds. And they were 18 years old. I mean, these kids could play rock and roll.
The one that you can judge a book by the cover? They are covering that Stripes you are talking about, right?
Yes, that's right.
Okay. It's great to speak with you and looking forward. Do you have anything to say your Turkish audience? Just the last question.
You know, we played there with Iron Maiden and Slipknot the last time we were there. And it was, we had never been to Turkey before. So it was amazing. The audience was just, full. They were on fire. And I told everybody that, if it's anything like that, it's going to be an amazing, amazing show. And, we're still very aware of the earthquake that happened there. So, we're certainly donating everything back to the earthquake fund there.
Ironically, when Aerosmith went there, there was another tragedy, actually, the day of the concert. And I think it was a mine collapse. So it was a day of mourning because it was a tragedy. And our gig got canceled. And the good part was I got to spend some time in Istanbul and cruise up and down the Black Sea there or wherever that is and really get a feel for the city. But on the other hand, it was terrible that the gig got canceled because people died. But again, we're able to kind of give back with this show, and I'm really happy about that.
Yeah, that was an opening for Hard Rock, I think. Hard Rock Istanbul, that Aerosmith concert. That was cancelled. Okay, and then see you, because I have to leave, I guess, and you have to. Thank you very much. Bye. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Ciao.
Thank you, sir.